Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's stories. California authorities announced on Friday the arrest of 47 suspected gang members. They're accused of drive-by shootings, murder, assault, and funding their illicit activities in the Central Valley through prostitution rings and sale of guns and narcotics. Police in San Jose arrested 6 people connected to recent smash and grab robberies. The thieves had previously targeted high-scale jewelry stores. And students at UC Berkeley held an event on Friday highlighting the atrocities of the Chinese Communist Party. Speakers talked about the suffering they faced for both their faith and standing up for human rights. Authorities say they arrested the person suspected of starting the massive 5-alarm Home Depot fire. The Monday announcement comes just days after the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives joined the investigation into what caused the devastating blaze. Stay tuned tomorrow as we hear from the city officials for the full details. California law enforcement officials announced the takedown of a street gang in Fresno County. Authorities say suspected gang members are tied to a number of drive-by shootings, murders, and human trafficking cases. Most significantly, the team said they prevented several other large-scale gang shootings, similar to the Sacramento shooting.
A 5-month investigation into violent criminal street gangs in Fresno County culminated last Thursday with the arrest of 47 suspected street gang members.
The suspects in the case showed no regard for human life and not only shot and murdered multiple victims, but they also used human trafficking and the sale of narcotics and guns to fund their operation.
The investigation found gang members using the funds to post bonds for other gang members to get out of jail. Balderrama said Operation No Fly Zone was a multi-agency operation involving 200 law enforcement personnel, helicopters, fixed-wing aircrafts, and 25 SWAT teams.
During the operation, a total of 19 shootings were prevented. 2 shootings were planned mass shootings, one on April 2nd, a day before the Sacramento mass shooting, and on April 11th. Both were going to occur here in Fresno. These shootings did not occur, as we were able to use the intelligence in time to place a strong police presence in the areas and deter the shootings.
He said, "We know they called it off because we were there, but did not provide other details." During the press conference, Attorney General Rob Bonta expressed gratitude towards all agencies involved in Operation No Fly Zone. Fresno County District Attorney Lisa Smitkamp said all the individuals arrested in the operation had previous encounters with law enforcement officers and the courts.
They have been given programs, they have been given counseling, they have been given opportunities to change their life. They have chosen, as most do who are not held accountable for their actions, to continue their criminal behaviors. Increased and unearned jail and prison time credits, early releases, and light sentences by judges encourage them to continue with their criminality.
Smitkamp criticized current laws for being too weak.
The politicians who pretend to care about law and order with sound bites when tragedies occur, or show up to say they care about victims during election seasons, are the ones who continue to support the weakened laws passed by the people who call themselves criminal justice reformers.
She thanked Attorney General Bonta for voicing support towards Fresno County law enforcement efforts.
And I would encourage you to speak to the governor and to the people in the state assembly about stopping these political agendas, theories, and versions of reform that are not working.
Smitkamp's comments and the efforts of Operation No Fly Zone come as the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation is proposing to make the state's early release program for inmates permanent. Currently, inmates can shorten their sentences by earning credits if they participate in firefighting, educational courses, and other rehabilitation programs, an initiative created under Proposition 57 and passed by California voters in 2016. During the COVID-19 pandemic, early release rules were adjusted to allow inmates to earn credits more easily. Opponents of the initiative attribute recent increases in violent crime to early releases.
San Jose police concluded a long-term multi-jurisdictional investigation involving a prolific robbery crew. The suspects allegedly targeted multiple jewelry stores throughout the Bay Area. NTD Cynthia Kai reports.
San Jose police announced the arrest of 6 suspects in connection to multiple smash-and-grab robberies between October 2021 to January 2022. SJPD robbery unit detectives identified multiple suspects entering jewelry stores wearing masks. The suspects used sledgehammers and tools to break open glass display cases and take thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. Some of the suspects were armed with firearms and pepper spray. After stealing merchandise, the suspects would run into vehicles waiting outside and flee the scene. As part of the investigation, detectives seized several firearms, including 2 assault weapons with extended magazines, ghost guns, and gun manufacturing equipment. SJPD received support and help from the U.S. Marshal Service and other police departments around the Bay Area. Chief of Police Anthony Mata said, "Our robbery detectives continue to do amazing work in identifying those responsible for victimizing our community, and together with the outstanding work by our Covert Response Unit, Burglary Prevention Unit, and Special Operations personnel, our department ensured the successful arrest and apprehension of these dangerous individuals." Police say the investigation is still ongoing and expect more arrests.
Victims of human rights abuses from the Chinese Communist Party shared their stories at UC Berkeley over the weekend. They recollected the horrors they and their families suffer at the hands of the communist regime. NTD's David Lam has a special report on what was said at the event.
Students from UC Berkeley held an event on Friday evening titled Atrocities of the CCP. The CCP, or Chinese Communist Party, continues to carry out a wide range of human rights abuses while hiding them from the outside world. The event's organizer, David Chan, said they faced a myriad of obstacles while trying to provide a voice for those targeted by the CCP.
To all of the leftists and CCP sympathizers on this campus who relentlessly tore down our flyers, defaced our posters, and protested, I want you to know that you failed today to stop this event, and you will always continually fail in your effort to silence voices and the prevention of free speech.
Due to security concerns, Chan limited attendance to 60 people on April 15th, but the event was live-streamed for thousands of others.
The Communist Party and Xi Jinping himself has committed genocide. According to the Pentagon's estimate, between 1 to 3 million people, primarily in Xinjiang, had been put into over 380 concentration camps in today's China, in Xinjiang.
The CCP actively targets people of faith, while illegally crossing the Chinese border near Burma is commonplace and goes unpunished. One Christian pastor named John Sao was arrested for crossing without a visa. The Human Rights Commission says he is now serving a 7-year sentence and that he has been denied medical treatment and has had to pull out his own decaying teeth.
This is what Pastor Zhang Hao wrote from his prison. We smuggled out some poems. This is what Pastor Zhang Hao wrote. He said, "You can take away my freedom, but you can't take my prayers. My prayers have wings and leaps over the iron mesh high wall."
2 speakers spoke on behalf of their husbands, who were also targeted. Geng He said her husband Gao Zhesheng, who is a human rights lawyer, went missing in China after speaking out against the Chinese regime.
Can you believe it? While I am under asylum in America, my husband is either in jail, under house arrest, or forcibly disappeared in China. Our family is on opposite sides of the globe. Despite living in this advanced technology age, the only photo with our entire family was taken when my son was 2 years old.
His last known contact with the public was August 2017. One speaker who was at the 1989 Tiananmen massacre lost both of his legs after being run over by a tank.
You know how ridiculous it is? The CCP actually asked me after I was run down by the tank and severely hurt from it, they asked me to sign a contract saying that the tank didn't hurt my legs.
A Berkeley student and her family fled to the US in 2013 to escape persecution in China.
We're just an ordinary family. We just wanted a place where we could freely practice Falun Gong and freely believe in the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. And yet we had to risk everything to make that come true. At least 20 million individuals in China share the same wish, but it has not yet come true for them. Many of them are, at this very moment that I'm speaking to you, being persecuted inside those dark cells.
The CCP targets people based on region, such as Hong Kongers, Tibetans, and Uyghurs, as well as faith, like practicing Christianity and Falun Gong.
I cannot help but wonder if the Chinese Communist Party is as strong as it claims to be. Why is it so afraid of a group of people who just want to become better individuals and to benefit the society?
I was very emotional. I can't believe that these things are happening to humans in the world and that people are so silent about this issue.
How do we reach out and show some light, bring some truth, and convince people who may not even agree with communism at all, but it's the allure and the incentives the CCP offers people?
Some of the panelists told the students they can start with the stories of those that spoke, shining light on the facts.
Hey, we didn't know what they were doing. Well, now we know what the Chinese are doing, what the Chinese Communist Party is doing. And ask the question, why aren't you appalled? Why aren't you against it?
The event organizer says he plans to hold similar events in the future and to join together with other organizations. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
You can find a full video of the speeches on the Epoch Times and NTD website. We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. Thousands of nurses went on strike at a Northern California healthcare provider. They're demanding safety while the provider says it's political. San Francisco residents remember the great 1906 earthquake. New technology has given a satellite view of just how widespread the quake was. And both kids and grown-ups alike took part in this year's annual Big Wheel race in San Francisco. The race finally took place after 2 years of being postponed. More soon here on California Today. Thousands of nurses and healthcare workers are planning a one-day strike outside Sutter health facilities across Northern California. According to representatives from the California Nurses Association, a nurses union, the hospital refused to address employee health and safety. The union also wants the hospitals to invest in personal protective equipment. Sutter Health says it's planning to bring in replacement contract workers for the day. The hospital was notified in advance after the one-day strike was voted unanimously in March. In a statement, the hospital said, by moving forward with today's costly and disruptive strike, union leadership has made it clear they are willing to put politics above patients and the nurses they represent. Sutter Health says they're confident they can manage it, and they hope to reach an agreement with the union. A marijuana field worker was convicted of a second-degree murder for killing a Northern California sheriff's deputy. He could face life in prison.
On Friday, prosecutors said Juan Carlos Vasquez Orozco, 22, killed El Dorado County Sheriff's Deputy Brian Ishmael in October 2019. Ishmael, 37, and 3 other deputies responded to a call of an alleged robbery at a marijuana grow in Somerset. Shortly after, Vasquez Orozco opened fire on the deputies and a shootout ensued. After firing multiple shots, he ran from the grow only to return, later ambushing the deputies. Ishmael was shot 4 times, leading to his death. Another deputy was shot and wounded. The owner, Christopher Ross, didn't tell authorities that Vasquez Orozco and Ramiro Morales, both Mexican citizens, were living in his grow and were armed with a firearm. Morales and Ross were also charged in connection with the case. Morales was convicted of a felony violation of accessory after the fact. Ross was convicted of felony voluntary manslaughter and possession of marijuana for sale. The marijuana plants on Ross's property had a street value of $250,000 to $500,000. The grow was prohibited by both California and federal law. Vasquez Orozco faces a possible sentence of life in prison. The sentencing hearing is scheduled for May 13th.
A classified satellite for the U.S. National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO, was launched into space from California on Sunday. The NRO L-85 satellite lifted off from Vandenberg Space Force Base aboard a 2-stage SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Vandenberg says this was the first mission by the NRO to reuse a SpaceX rocket booster. The Falcon's first stage flew back and landed at the Seaside base northwest of Los Angeles. The NRO only described the satellite as a critical national security payload. Its launch was one of the 3 awarded by the Air Force to SpaceX in 2019 for a combined price of $297 million. The NRO is the government agency in charge of developing, building, launching, and maintaining U.S. satellites that provide intelligence data to senior policymakers, the intelligence community, and the Defense Department. It has been over 100 years since the great 1906 San Francisco earthquake and fire. People still commemorate it to this day by remembering the era when it happened, but also observing it through the lens of modern technology.
This computer simulation shows just how big the 1906 earthquake was. It helps people better understand the distribution of shaking and damage that it caused. To commemorate the event, people put on their interpretations of attire from 116 years ago. San Francisco Mayor London Breed also commemorated the quake in costume.
We're here commemorating the 1906 earthquake, reminding our city of our strength and resilience, and a reminder to check sf72.org for earthquake preparedness.
Attendees at the memorial gave advice for what to do during an earthquake.
Drop, cover, and hold on.
Stay calm.
You must stay put.
Check your surroundings.
Leave a trail.
Stay tuned.
In 1906, the 7.9 magnitude earthquake caused fires that destroyed San Francisco and the surrounding area. Although the quake lasted less than a minute, the fires it started burned for 3 days and destroyed nearly 500 city blocks. It killed about 3,000 people and left half of the city's 400,000 residents homeless. The event was one of the most destructive in the recorded history of North America.
After missing 2 years due to pandemic restrictions, San Francisco's annual Bring Your Own Big Wheel race was able to start rolling again on Sunday. Costumes, creative vehicles, and enthusiastic crowds could all be seen at the All Ages Just for Fun event. NTD's Jason Blair went this year to check out the competition.
Bring Your Own Big Wheel, an annual event where both kids and adult kids get a chance to race down a windy San Francisco street. After being postponed in 2020 and 2021, the event finally gets to hold its 20th race.
It's been so fun, bro. I didn't even know this existed, but I've had a blast. I mean, everyone just bombs the hill and there's crashes everywhere, and it's so much fun.
I think my favorite part of the kids, they go super fast.
The second turn of my first run, I just completely slammed into the wall and then was able to just keep going. And then after that, I got like a boost from a guy who caught his leg behind me and we just started flying down the hill. It was awesome.
The last one was awesome. John spun around backwards and just carried down with the flow.
According to the organizers, things first started in 2000 by John Brummett when he took a lone ride down Lombard Street on a big wheel while 13 people watched. Over the years, it grew bigger until 2007. The residents near Lombard eventually asked them to leave. Since 2008, the event has been held at Vermont Street, which is also steep with plenty of sharp turns.
It's great that they can do it. Hopefully they're able to continue doing it. You know, it's one of those fun things that seems to only happen around here.
The other guy crashed, and I crashed into him in my defense. Like, oh no, I was like, bye, Eddie. I was like, no!
It's been awesome. I was kind of nervous, you know, coming into it, like I didn't know what to expect. And then you just get swept up in the speed and the crowd.
Not all the big wheels can hold up for the whole race. Some end up getting scrapped after having too much fun.
We've recovered 4 wheels and 2 seats, so it's gonna go back into our cache of equipment for next year.
If you want to roll down the hill, there's no fee. However, you do want to register and make sure you bring your own big wheel. According to the event website, the race costs about $10,500 to hold, which is mostly covered with donations and out of the organizers' pockets. Jason Blair, NTD News, San Francisco.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup.
The Golden State Warriors kicked off their 2022 playoffs last Saturday against the Denver Nuggets. Plenty of challenges are already presenting themselves as they face the reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic. Even more, Stephen Curry was hobbled with a foot injury, but was still able to come off the bench in this one. Warriors fans were holding their breath, but Jordan Poole said, "Hold my Gatorade." The third-year shooting guard exploded for 30 points to boost the Golden State Warriors to an easy 123-107 victory over the Denver Nuggets on Saturday in the opening contest of their Western Conference first-round series in San Francisco. Stephen Curry played a limited 22 minutes off the bench, but he did add 16 points after missing the previous 12 games with a left foot injury. Curry's timing was off, but he did finish with 5 of 13 shooting in his first action since March 16th. Klay Thompson scored 19 points. Nikola Jokic registered 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists for Denver. Will Barton added 24 for the Nuggets, who didn't play like the squad that won 3 of 4 regular season outings against the Warriors. Poole was 9 of 13 shooting, including 5 of 7 from three-point range, as his point total tied Hall of Famer Mitch Richmond for the second highest scoring playoff debut in Warriors history. Hall of Famer Wilt Chamberlain holds the record of 35 in 1960 for the Philadelphia Warriors. Andrew Wiggins contributed 16 points and 9 rebounds, and Draymond Green had 12 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, and 3 blocked shots for Golden State, which shot 52.4% from the field and was 16 of 35 from three-point range. Taking Game 1 is an important advantage, but there are still potentially 6 more games to play. The Nuggets will come back to the Chase Center in San Francisco for Game 2 on Monday. Warriors 123, Nuggets 107.
As always, I'm Thomas Christian, and thanks for tuning in.
And that's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news tips or ideas for our show, or you just want to let us know how we're doing, our email is california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.